ecosystem that NVIDIA is doing with Activate. We'll be announcing this officially tomorrow, which is why we would request just no phones at the moment, no videos, because we want to break the news tomorrow to the wider public. So we very much appreciate it, although it might be a little disappointing. But Prateek, wherever Prateek is from my team, he'll be taking some content. If you want to be able to circulate content tomorrow, you can give Prateek your email, and he'll try his best to fulfill all those requests. But thanks again. Okay, great. So getting started. Could not be more excited to be here. It's an amazing energy, this summit. I've been fortunate enough, from NVIDIA's perspective, to be given leadership of this region alongside my other regions I lead, which is the UK and Ireland, Europe, Middle East, and Africa for our startup business Inception. I'm sure some of you are founders in the room. How many founders are in the room today, I mean? Amazing, great, a good proportion. And how many technical engineers in the room as well? Great, the vast majority, that's exciting. Well, look, we want to explore now what this partnership can look like for the Indian startup ecosystem. We're really going to dive a lot deep into Activate's personal experience, amazing experience here in the ecosystem itself. And we're going to spend a little bit of time as well talking about what Inception is, our startup business from NVIDIA's perspective, and how that can really help all of you founders, all of you engineers, as well grow the next generation of AI startups in India. So maybe first... I'm
allowed to take pictures.
Over to you. I mean, it'd be great just to hear your story, right? It's such an exciting story. We met in Bangalore, I think it was about a month ago now, and I was completely captivated by it, right? And I just immediately saw the partnership potential. We said, let's just do this. This is great for India. You're the person for the job here to be able to actually really grow the next generation of AI startups. But maybe you just take us through your actual entrepreneurial journey, how you got to the decision to start Activate.
Yeah, no, thank you so much. It's amazing to be here. So many founders, so many engineers. Great to see. This is a 200-room capacity. I think it's 300 people, but incredible. And so much energy, like you said, right, Tobias, at the summit. And so excited about why we are here and this partnership. So yeah, quickly, my name is Akrit Vaish. I built a company called Haptik for about 11 years. The first product that Haptik released in 2014 was an AI chatbot. In 2014 and 15, my #1 job was to go around telling everybody in the world, including all my investors, what a chatbot is. I guess that question is settled for now after all these years. And then, when I decided to start Haptik in 2013, it was with a single purpose of how do you build incredible AI companies from India. And Haptik was really my way of trying to create that AI platform that India can be proud of. I often say that whenever the book of this company is written, the title will be a decade too early. If we would have done something about it when we had large language models, maybe the story would have been different. It was a success. We did well. I'm very proud of what we accomplished. But after we sold the business, and then I was thinking about how do I still continue down that same purpose of truly building AI in India and doing it today when the technology is just a whole different paradigm. And that's when I thought that, okay, look, let me go find out what's going on, what's missing. And I realized that, the energy and the technical talent that we have in this country is second to none. I truly believe that the next generation of AI companies in India will be built by incredibly technical founders who are, for the lack of better words, obsessed with the technology. So then I said, okay, look, how do we enable them? How do we give rise to them? And, sorry, pun intended, but how do we activate them? And that's when this idea came about that, okay, look, what if we put together this new age venture capital firm where what we do is we work with technical founders very, very early. And by very early, I mean all our investments so far have had no pitch deck, no docs, and not even a company. So the first time that we wrote, look, we want to invest in your company, the company name actually was a placeholder because we still had to incorporate the business. So work with them very, very early, spend time with them, given my operator roots, spend anywhere between 1 to 3 months working with them on the idea. We are fortunate that our investors in our fund, known as LPs, and the broader advisory community that we have consists of some of India's best founders and some of the world's best AI leaders. So we get them involved in the creation of the companies, and then, invest right at incorporation and work with them for the next 20 years to build out India's AI footprint.
How exciting is that, right? So an exited founder, completely embedded in the ecosystem here. I think, is it 100 plus angel investments you've done as well?
Yeah, 107, way too many.
107 angel investments. So think of all that experience, all of that network. You didn't mention some of your LPs, but I know them, some of the best LPs you can imagine globally as well as within India. And I think this focus on the early stage is so important here, right? This ability to be able to cultivate AI ecosystems from the ground up is something that we at NVIDIA have been doing for pretty much all of our corporate history, right? It's actually our original go-to-market was within the research communities. We were, Jensen likes to say he was going around selling CUDA to research labs all over the world. So literally spending time with academics, researchers in AI. And there's something magical around the fact that an AI researcher can create a $0 billion market, a completely new computing paradigm, and what that actually means for AI in general, for all of us globally, not just in India, but also just spreading throughout the world. And I think that brings me to my next question. So you mentioned this slightly, but why now, first and foremost? So why activate now? You could have maybe done this a year before, you could have done this maybe 2 years before, et cetera. And then how do you think this is going to play out? Like, what kind of generative AI companies are going to form? What is that future going to look like for India? What are the kind of focuses, AI natives, maybe model producers, et cetera?
I mean, why now? Just look at this room. I mean, that's a good example, right? I think we got lesser hands. Let's ask that question again. How many AI founders or wannabe AI founders in the room? That's the right answer, right? And that is the why now of Activate. I was talking to somebody at dinner last night. The one hill I am willing to die on for the rest of my life is our technical talent, particularly on the tooling application side of the AI stack, is probably the best in the world. Probably. Second to none. I think that once you give infrastructure, which includes models and compute, hint, hint, once you give these two things to Indian founders and developers, they can do magic. I think their ability to take these things, build it at scale, build it for India or for the world, build it economically, build it with constraints is, like I said, probably second to none. So I think, in all seriousness, the why now is, you see that over the last 12 to 18 months, Tobias, both parts, many pieces of the infra are now in place. The models have gotten to a point where there's enough options available between open source, closed source. The closed models can do a lot more now that allows for faster experimentation. Costs have been dramatically reducing of inferencing. They're still not there where we would want Indian inferencing to be, but dramatically reducing. So all of these create the right, sort of set of tailwinds for us to build companies. In addition, I mean, just look at what the country is trying to do to evangelize AI. I thought the best description of this was somebody wrote on Twitter yesterday, right? Which is that how many of you struggled to get into Bharat Mandapam over the last 3 days? Everybody, right? How many of you complained about it? Most of you, right? But the point is, this was the same thing that happened 10 years back when the government made digitization their core focus. And today, because of all of that chaos that happened 10 years back, we are one of the only countries, we travel all over the world, we're one of the only countries where I don't have to carry a wallet to make a payment. We are one of the only countries where I get stuff delivered to me in 8 minutes, even over here. And we are one of the only countries in the world which can enter an airport without a boarding pass, because we have digital systems. So that same chaos of today, which the government is creating, is generally a net positive. I understand this is all chaotic, we don't have seats, but all of this lays the foundations to create AI for the next 10 or 20 years. So that's part of the why now. Yeah, it's just, like I said, the coming together of so many things that prompted me. By the way, the other story that I rarely say is all my friends, especially founder friends, and a bunch of them are here. The first question they asked me last year when I was thinking about Activate was, boss, you are an exited AI founder. It's time for you to go raise $100 million and build the next AI company. Why do this? And the answer was the same. It just feels like a product like Activate, I keep calling it a product like Activate, which is tailored to technical founders in India, working with them hand in glove very early, is what we need for the ecosystem.
Yeah. Such great points there. And I think, humbly, I'm a visitor to this country, and I've had nothing but rewarding experiences working with Uni, my team, who've been amazing teaching me all about it. But I think the thing which I find really interesting with what you just said, and which I found so interesting about India in general, is this ability for the government to support scaling, right? And you mentioned before with digital identity, obviously the payment rails. And what could this look like in AI in 10 years' time, realistically? There was probably some skepticism, right, when these first sort of scale rails were first introduced. And now a lot of those fintechs, for example, are on the cusp of IPOing, have IPO'd, some of India's largest companies, right? So we're very excited by that ability to scale. And I think also the reason we're so excited by this particular partnership is your vision for what those startups can look like.
Yeah, and with this digital rail stuff, I'm sure people have attended events over the last 3 days where this digital rail stuff has been talked about a lot. And it's like on record, oh my God, what's the UPI of AI? What's that moment? And my only thing to everybody is, and especially for you, as you're thinking about the market, be patient. India takes time. India is not for beginners. Right? Again, ad display over here. This would be a fire hazard in any other country. Right? So, this will happen. Right? It's just the people who will win, who can be patient, who can be mission-oriented, who can build for the long term. My most famous, one of the quotes I like the most, which, I go to bed with every single day, which is the reality, right? Ruchi Sharma, who's a very famous banker who works for Morgan Stanley, has been saying this for years. India is a country that disappoints both the pessimist and the optimist. And the reason is because the optimist walking around here will be, oh my God, we're going to invest 5 billion tomorrow. We're going to have 5 sovereign models. Computers going to start flowing off from the air. That's not going to happen, right? And the pessimist I see on Twitter writing about, somebody wrote, what's the point of doing all these events when we don't have our LLMs? I mean, neither is right, right? You just have to be patient. You have to think about what's our lane, and ultimately things will happen.
That's a good segue. So if we're not in that stage, which we're clearly not of, chronic optimism, right? But we're also not in that world of pessimism either. Where are we now in India? Where are we at right at this moment? And what is the solution for you and Activate, and obviously us partnering with you from Inception's point of view, to bring us, let's just say, with some conservatism, a more optimistic future?
Great question. Fundamentally, a very strong belief that we have is we are very early, right? It's day 0, maybe day -1 when it comes to India's AI story. And the challenge that we have in narratives in AI is that because the rest of the world has been doing so much, we have this FOMO in this country. That, oh my God, I'm losing out, I'm missing out. I turned 21, I'm so old, But we are just, the nature of our country and economic story and growth story today is that, look, we will always build mostly on the top layers. While there'll be some infrastructure and R&D, we'll mostly build great applications. And that is just getting started. Funnily, if you look at the last few Y Combinator batches, which is a good proxy to see what's going on generally in the world, even at YC or Y Combinator, it's only now that the application layer is truly taking off, in the last 2 batches. So we are very early. Pratyush, my partner, and I, he says this very often that, the best AI companies in India are yet to be created. Yeah. They don't exist, right? They're hopefully somewhere in this room.
I think that's really true. And one of the things which I found so interesting about our first conversation, all that a few weeks ago in Bangalore, was your thoughts around how do we keep talent in India, right? Because obviously, and this is a similar problem we have in Europe, by the way. So this is not just an India-centric problem, but basically the top talent does typically go to the US, either to raise money or to work at an OpenAI or an Anthropic, whatever it is, right? So maybe give us your thoughts about how Activate, and then maybe I can chime in a little bit from Inception's point of view, how us together can actually create, let's say, emotion, forward thinking, won't be immediate, but thinking about a long term, because we certainly connected as well that this is a long term thing from NVIDIA's perspective as well. We're always thinking long term. How can we keep the talent in India?
Yeah, I mean, this is the starting point, like I said again. Okay, maybe we're recording it, but sure, I don't care. I mean, Trump is helping. I think look, I spent 10 years in the US and I came back. I did my undergrad in the US. I was in Silicon Valley when the App Store and the iPhone launched. So call me a case study, a foolish case study for what it's worth, but I left all of that and moved back to build AI in India. So I deeply feel for the problem. I think here's how there was just last week, there was a leading AI researcher from OpenAI in the Bay Area who reached out to me and set up this call of Indian origin from India. They have no shortage of anything in life. And basically she reached out and said, hey, listen, things are good here, great here. We're doing a bunch of cutting edge research, but I really want to do something in India and I want to do an AI. How should I think about it? And my answer to her, which is the answer I'm going to give over here, is that, look, if as a 22-year-old, your motivation in life is to be the most financially successful with the most highest quality of life, then look, it's debatable whether this is the country to build in for the rest of your life, if that is the sole goal or the primary goal. However, if your goals are along with that, be a part of something that, in my view, will be a transformation of a country for a long time, and along with that, build missionary companies, and you care a little bit about legacy of the story that you were a part of, then probably India is the right place.
Yeah, that's such a great point. And I think for me, I've now, I've been to India only twice, humbly, but I've met over 200 founders. And one of the most exciting...
200 is too little. We need to get you in front of
No, I'm only just getting started. I'm just a beginner. But the thing which always comes through for me, which makes India very different, actually, because I meet thousands of researchers and founders all the time in EMEA, in Europe, et cetera, all over the place, Middle East, Africa, is there's a real sense of wanting to stay here and doing things for the public good. Yeah. So I want to scale an AI company, and it's not just to become a unicorn, it's not just to IPO, it's for the benefit of others, right? And I think that's a wonderful takeaway for all of us, actually, in the rest of the world, around why to actually start these kind of projects, how to work with yourself and us here at NVIDIA. And maybe I'll just explain a little bit about...
Yeah, and also, sorry, just before you go into Inception, it's also like India has such unique problems, as a technologist, it's also fun to work on. Right? The whole, whether it's our payments infrastructure or how to do payments at scale, or like I said, the whole 10-minute economy that has taken off, or even e-commerce is just such a complex beast. So even with AI, the next panel actually has a bunch of very exciting founders talking about similar things, like the nature of problems they face and how they go around it is just so different. And as a technologist, that's what keeps you going, right?
I'll tell you a little bit of a funny story which will back that point up, right? So when I was studying at Oxford, my professor was reviewing some of my work, and the feedback was, it's quite harsh feedback to be fair, but he said, look, it's not bad, but I just want you to know something. If this was a meritocracy, every student here would be from China and India. And I've always taken that away, and I've always had the privilege, right, of working with great folks from India in big tech, but also when my time is in Oxford, all the best students there. So there's such extreme talent in India. That wasn't a surprise to me at all, to be honest with you. But I think meeting so many founders, spending so much time with everyone in this particular summit, really NVIDIA's role in these kind of ecosystems is almost like a convener, right? We're here to provide infrastructure and compute. We're here to encourage founders.
So on the compute point...
let me just finish this point. We'll revisit it. So we're here to provide scaled infrastructure, obviously, and we'll be rolling that out with a long-term vision. But also really what we're interested in is working with founders, with Uni and the team here that do such great work, to be able to really also address the kind of products you're building, right? Because we've got a very comprehensive compute stack and platform called CUDA, which most of you will know of. The exciting thing about working with NVIDIA in our Inception program is, alongside Activate, from a technical point of view, because these are technical founders, this is why I'm so interested in your particular program, is that we can really dive deep and accelerate what you're actually building within your product. Maybe it's with a library, an SDK, or a tool that you're unaware of. Maybe it's an open source model that we've actually got on the market now, our Nematron family of models. It could be many, many, many different things. But think of our platform as clearly optimized for our hardware, right? So what we want to do is really lean into the early stage founders with you in the Activate program. So let's say if you join Activate, you've got some funding, you'll also be matched with us here at NVIDIA to help you with your product development, to be able to help you also with things like, what kind of model I should select if you're building a model end to end. We can work out how we can actually really optimize your inference. We can do all kinds of things, right? And for me, that's exciting because if you're thinking about it in a wider scale, you're going to do a lot of investments, you're going to support a lot of early stage founders. It's just the first year we're working together. It's going to be many, many years to come. So if you actually take all of that and you scale it out, and we're there from the very, from day zero with you, Inception and Activate, right? We're going to be able to build better products faster with our stack, with our technologists, which means there's going to be better probabilistic chances of good success, right? That's what we're really excited about here at NVIDIA. And we've been doing this as well. We've got a rich history of this all over the world, as you know.
Yeah, this is my plug for NVIDIA. And this is something, I think, for all that you do, this is the part of the company maybe you're a little more humble on than you should be. And I'll say this. There are at least 2 AI companies in India that I know today. Both of them very popular. You know both of them. They're all over the AI summit. They're building at the frontier of AI. Both of them, the founders, have categorically told me multiple times that the company and our products wouldn't have gotten built if it wasn't for NVIDIA support. Categorically. Like it is, and in one of their cases, I'm quoting him right directly, one of those cases, we wouldn't exist without Jensen. Was literally the line. And why I say this is that, I think people don't realize, besides, of course, this whole, GPU compute and, 5-6 trillion company, NVIDIA is fundamentally an engineering company. It's fundamentally a deeply technical company. So the moment you throw some technical problems at you, I have firsthand seen the way that everybody within NVIDIA gets excited and rallies up. And in a lot of those cases, it's amazing to see Jensen directly get involved sometimes in, doing these things. So just reiterating, which is when we met, we're super excited about this partnership where anybody who, works with us, we will try to provide this platform where we can directly engage with teams at NVIDIA, solution experts, designers, to help problem solve and build these
100%.
companies.
And I think as well, the way that NVIDIA thinks about partnerships, right, and all of the, let's say all of your first cohort would also be considered partners of ours, is that all of our partners' success is quite literally NVIDIA's success. Jensen's very clear on that. We are a company with a rich history of partnering with everyone in the ecosystem. We're called the AI partners of AI partners. And we want to continue that rich tradition within this partnership, right? So we really want to be able to support the early stage ecosystem here. There could literally be no one better, and I mean that sincerely, than yourself and what you're doing in Activate to be able to do that. And for me personally, there's a really good track history of this at NVIDIA as well. We've done this in many, many ecosystems, and it really is a common solution, right? You bring scaled compute, so that actual engineers, technologists, AI researchers like all of you in the room today can actually experiment with significant compute at your fingertips as opposed to limited compute with capacity. Then you bring great solution engineers, architects, which we have on our side, plus amazing investors, folks that have done it before, can actually really tell all of you how to build a startup. And that recipe actually really grows AI ecosystems, basically. And that's what I'm most excited about coming to India. Because the solution set is the same, but we obviously lean on my team, everyone else here, like yourselves, to actually understand what are the parameters here. So we've got the solutions, we know how to do this, but you tell us what the parameters are, how do we partner with you, and then quite literally your success and the founder's success becomes our success. And we're very into making, in many kinds of use cases, whether it's applications, whether it's breakthrough research, we want to be able to support all of those use cases, robotics, physical AI, healthcare, life sciences, the list goes on. So yeah, could not be more excited for this partnership.
Amazing. Should we take a couple of questions?
Yes, that'd be great.
All right, we can take maybe 2 questions. Yeah.
Hey everyone, my name is Pranav. I'm a technology architect. Seeing the current evolution of AI with respect to the government sector or the private sector in India and across the globe that India will serve, how we can let NVIDIA to provide a infrastructure that is more like stringent, at the same time more reliable, that can reach to the end founder, who is not like a very like a very go to easy person to like have the capital raised, right? So what are the programs that you want to put light upon that?
Okay, that's actually great because it touches on a part of the Inception program which we should explore just briefly. I think we only, by the way, have time for one question, unfortunately, which got signaled. But basically, at Inception, as well as focusing with our CUDA accelerated platform with founders on how to work with their products, with their engineers, their CTOs, etc., we also are partnered with all of the compute providers within particular landscape. So for here, it would be, as we all know, the major CSPs, but also newer providers like Yota, E2E. We provide credits for those particular compute providers as well. So not many people know that you can join Inception. You can get credits for our actual partners as well. And simultaneously, we can also help guide you, but we won't make the choice for you on which compute provider you want to choose, right? Obviously, because we're partnered with everyone, we have a good understanding of the actual landscape itself, and we can definitely give you some advice of where we think there's capacity based on your use case, but we don't make the decision. That's very much a founder-led decision. So that's another great part of Inception, I'd say. You get a good understanding of where all, how to basically fulfill those requirements you just requested.
Great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Excited. Thank you, everybody.
factions just know too deeply about what each other is building, but just for the benefit of the room, can we just go around, you guys telling a little bit about you, your background, the kind of problems you're working on, the kind of technology challenges and solutions you have sort of worked towards and solving? And we can then sort of begin with that. Shamal.
Great. I'm Shamal. Previously, I was at OpenAI for 3.5 years, leading kind of the applied evals team. Joined OpenAI before ChatGPT and kind of led and scaled multiple teams. And just over a month back, moved back to India to kind of build from here and help accelerate AI research, enable founders. So starting Interactive Intelligence, which is kind of an applied AI group, focusing on solving population scale problems with AI.
Hello, check. Yeah. Hey, I'm Saumyadeep. I'm one of the founders at Dashverse. We build microdrama and have a tooling to build, ability to build microdrama using AI. Have been early in this journey since we started pre-ChatGPT. We started when I saw Stable Diffusion's first version. That's how I got into this boat. And been a fun journey since then. Super exciting. Things drop every few days and things change every few days.
How often do things break? How often do things break?
Every day.
I'm Pratik Desai. I'm founder of Kisan AI. As a educational background, I'm computer scientist with AI background, but have a agrarian family in India. Even though I'm based in San Francisco Bay Area, I started 7 years back this company to help Indian farmers build AI models that can be directly useful for them. You can call us one of the pioneering company who has been developing generative AI conversational tool or even post-training models, but we are focused only on agriculture. And we've been working with farmers, connecting them with their needs, and expanding and growing.
Thank you. I'll probably take a very tough, controversial question at the start. There's immense energy, immense optimism, immense passion for building and solving really hardcore technology problems from India, for the world. As we discussed and we heard and reiterated multiple times, the talent in the room and in general in the conference is second to none in most places in the world. What's holding us back? Why are we not really producing really hardcore solutions to some of the most pressing problems in the world? From your vantage point as builders, what's holding us off? What's probably going to unlock us? Any lessons that you guys have learned while building from the field that you'd probably like to share with the audience? And we can start with Pratik.
For your controversial question, I'll answer controversial answer. And I don't think we have that much talent that we estimate. Maybe we need to train. We are not there. If you are living in Valley and the Syamal has been around like the smartest people in the world, and I've been working 8 years. So we need those courses and education. We do not have something they'll like stand out in Valley or the talent that we have there. But I think the biggest problem is with the quality of the data. 4 years back when we started curating data, before ChatGPT, we were using GPT-3 APIs, which were launched in 2020. So I had access to them. And the data was so bad. And we've been collecting a lot of agrarian data from universities and scrapping them. And they were like pictures with phone converted into PDFs. And there were no like OCR model that kind of serve them dropping right now. So we are like literally human doing annotation and all. So yeah, the journey has been difficult because the data and compute is common problem. Everybody know we do not have GPUs and all. So that I wouldn't touch that. But in talent, I think we still have gap that we need to train. Amount like quality of the paper that get published in India, they're also not that great, things like that. So we need to bridge that gap.
Shamal, anything to add? You have been in the Bay Area ecosystem for quite a lot of time, worked in the best company that is, probably at the center stage and the foundation of the entire revolution. Anything to add? Any perspectives that you see in terms of differences, skill sets, ambitions?
Yeah, I think I see the concentration of talent kind of coming back to India, especially now with huge infrastructure bets that Sarvam is making. I think honestly what's holding us back, one thing is just the sheer urgency of getting things done. The cost of building has gone so low. I mean, you should have Cloud Code, Codex agents running in the background. Every night, that's what bothers a lot of engineers these days is, do I have Codex running before I go to bed? And just tell you a bit of story, right? I was talking to someone, a researcher, came out of IIT and doing some research on sample efficiency. Few of the folks, and he got offers from few labs, but he chose to just do this on his own. And I'm like, why are you doing this? Like, you could be working on anything else. And he's like, I just care about this. Like, AI is a national security risk. If we don't do anything right now, there's literally going to be no socioeconomic status if you're not taking this urgently. So I think just the urgency and the motivation to do things. I think one of the things in Bay Area is, there is a lot of abundance, right? So people have a lot of options to do it. We have a population scale problem, and so it's not like we have the abundance to do it, but the median age here in the summit is like, whatever, 28, 30. So I mean, people can make it here and at least show that they care about this subject and being able to do this. I think just driving in with urgency and making things happen, especially with the tools you have available today, is the thing that's honestly holding us back.
Swamideep, your take?
Yeah, I think I'll iterate what Akrit said. We are a huge set of people, and larger the mass, the velocity is lower with the same momentum. But when we move a lot of things. So it's just a matter of time. I actually don't think about the talent as much. I do think the top 1 percentile of India matches the top 1 percentile everywhere. Maybe the median has a difference, but I think the world is pushed by the top 1 percentile.
Lovely. Let's now try to contextualize the discussion a bit more and talk a little bit more about the real life problems that we are trying to sort of solve. I'm sure none of us here, maybe with the exception of Shyamal, had a lot of luxury in terms of abundance of resources to try and go some of those problems and some of the things we're discussing before the room. So, try and contextualize some technical problems that you're trying to solve for in your 0 to 1 journey of actually identifying the problem, solving it, finding early customers, getting feedback, getting the ecosystem feedback, and the help to actually get to where you are. And what's unique, what's different, what would you have wished otherwise?
Yes, I'll put my optimistic hat for the India now. So like many founder here, like, when we started, like the data and everything was really bad. But like, because we have also this culture where, as Shyamal was saying, if there is an urgency, things will happen. So when we started the first AI project for agriculture, the farmlands were not plotted at all. Like, we do not even today have everything geomapped. And my first AI model was to take satellite images and plot the land. But I do not have numbers and images, and they existed as like a JPEG file in the regular district offices, right? So by law, you can just get 1 page for your village. You don't get everything else. But then how do I actually move and connect the numbers and all? But then in India, if you're like a startup founder, you figure it out. You go to the copier outside of the office, because he is the one making copy for all the farmers. And you give them like, hey, I'll give you some lump sum amount. You give me all the villages. And that's how we actually started collecting the data. And now we were able to digitize. And it's very important, it's needed. But, like if you have passion about solving a problem, you can make things happen. People will come help you out. We have been helped by many other folks, like, throughout our journey, including OpenAI and NVIDIA and all other folks. So they're like a jugaad you have to do. It will work. Even the compute, like, we don't have compute like OpenAI. I've been always asking around for grants to train model. We open source it, but still, like, you can go around, people will give you grants, some compute. There are many initiatives going on, and you can make things happen. We can complain about compute for SOTA models, but for smaller, many applications that can actually make difference in India, you don't read that much compute actually.
Interesting. Swamideep, a slightly different flavor of the same question for you. You were one of the first few people in India to actually work on generative models when it came to images and pixel domain. You went through a cycle of actually discovering euphoria with image generation, maybe realizing that that's probably not a great business, and then eventually now moving to videos. You've always been pushing the frontier on some of those fronts, without compute, without capital, without maybe a lot of talent as well. So maybe you would probably want to share some context on what kinds of things you've faced in the journey, what's exciting, what's fun, what's probably not so fun.
I think something that we have from day zero done well and has been the most interesting insight that I have over the journey is that all models or all products rather work best with a great tight feedback loop, right? And something that we as India has an insane talent around is to use the products that you build. And that is something we did from day zero of our company, where we had users of our product, of a creative product in-house, to get the feedback loop tight from day zero. And like that has helped us keep iterating so much faster. And despite not having the capital or the infrastructure to train models, we could fine tune the hell out of everything because we had data to and keep creating so much data. So that's something that insight I think has taken us this far. Let's hope it takes us further. Sorry, what was the other thing?
What's probably not so fun? What's probably something that you wish?
I think this constant tussle of lack of resources, of course, not fun, but I think it's part of the journey.
Shyamal, I think a little bit different from your vantage point. You're very committed to helping shape the ecosystem in India. You do a lot of work with the AIRO. You do a lot of work with a bunch of us in general in the ecosystem. So what are you seeing probably holding off really smart, young, cracked engineers, researchers from sort of say, really unleashing themselves? Are they choosing the same problems that their peers in the valley are choosing without the same resources, without the same nuances? Are they probably not focusing their efforts and the energy in the right direction? What are your thoughts? What are your perspectives?
Yeah, I think one way to answer that is like, honestly, the exploration-exploitation trade-off is a lot of builders I know have, the intensity and talent to go do it, but often don't take time to explore and plan ahead. And planning is so important. I mean, we're building intelligence and we know that planning leads to better, long-term coherence in agents. We don't do that as humans. So I think, this is one of the things that Sam actually told me in one of the meetings, and it was like, exploring and planning really, really important if you're going to do something for the next 10 years, which is going to be your life's work, and it's going to be like 1 or 2 bets you're doing. Take enough time to plan it, do many things, and then see kind of what works. And that's honestly the thing that I see some of that differentiates like really great builders from the ones that sometimes get held up by structures and things that don't really let them explore a lot.
How much of how much of all of this could be attributed to say lack of capital, lack of, I would say, inspiration capital that gets you off the ground, but also gives you scale-up capital way ahead of your traction numbers, justifying that kind of a thing. So, how much of the struggles that we are all alluding to in the panel today can actually be attributed to lack of capital or lack of capital-centric resources?
Yeah, I mean, hopefully capital you guys are solving now with with the fund. So and more, I'm hoping more of that also comes through. I think moving forward on the pre-seed seed, I think there's a lot of capital flowing in. I think the challenge is really knowing what to build, especially with very shifting consumer behavior. Because now you're building an app, and with vibe coding, you almost have this like era of personal software, right? Where I was just talking to someone yesterday, and it was like similar to how you just made photography really easy, and now you just have a reel of your photos that you don't even see. You're gonna have a reel of your many SaaS apps and software that you don't see, but you're just gonna create it for a few times. So I think with that, like knowing what to build for like a niche for even like 1 million people is like super difficult, and trading on that really fast. So I think the taste becomes really important. And I think by taste, I mean it's really kind of like understanding what your customer really wants and then iterating with them. And ideally, you're the customer of what you're building first. So other than capital, of course, capital is a constraint, especially on the infrastructure side, when you don't have access to compute, cheap compute, and you want to post-train models and you want to fine-tune models, and you can't do that with just with like few GPUs. So I think to really compete moving forward on the foundation infrastructure layer, capital is definitely a constraint right now. But the application layer, I think there's a lot of opportunities with a lot of funding coming in.
That's a very nice segue to the next question that I had. And maybe we can start with you, Soumyadeep. What is probably the one unfair advantage that people building companies out of India would have compared to, say, their counterparts and peers? We discussed about challenges, we discussed about lack of talent, we discussed about lack of resources, lack of compute, lack of capital. But are there any advantages? I mean,
Yeah,
we see
I
many.
already talked about it. It's the feedback loop that we can set up here that can be insanely better and insanely close to you, that you will not. It's much harder. So we work with a lot of people in US also, and my competitors in US also. And one of the core problems they keep seeing is, so we make content using AI, we make a tool that makes content, right? So one of their core problems is that, how do I get this studio to use it every day? It's hard. You have access to 10 studios and they will not use a half-baked tool every day. We, on the other hand, I can set up 10 studios within my company overnight and have them use my tool every day, and I pay them for it. So that, I think that feedback loop advantage that we have, we are not abusing it enough, and we should be doing that.
Prateek?
Yeah, no, that's the first one. Second thing that we have seen is the willingness to adopt to digital technology and AI. That's like, so we have also solution in US, but in India, when we launched 2023, around ChatGPT time, the conversational AI, we had within like few months, 150,000 farmers basically using it. And like in the feedback sense, we had actually folks figuring out our number from different directories, calling us, giving us live, saying, hey, can you add this more data? At that time, the models were very early, like GPT-3, 3.5. So the data was very important that we have been curating. The models are better now, so they already have so many information. But the farmer were actually traveling 100 kilometers when I was speaking in Bangalore from the other part of the Karnataka he came and just told me about like his tractor problem. It's like, can you add Mahindra tractors manual in your conversational tools, because my worker keep breaking it. And that you will never see, like in other countries, or like where I come from, like in states, they will be very nice to you on the face. Over here, they will criticize you. They will to break you down, but that's good, because otherwise, like, you will not have actually a good product delivered if you don't get the critical feedback, basically.
Perfect. I think, probably moving to the final section of the panel, any one piece of technology or trend that you're personally very excited by, that you see in the adjacencies of your domains that you work with or founders you interact with, something that you would advise probably say many more founders and technologists in the room to try and think building companies around? Start with Shamal, maybe?
Yeah, one thing is like build for the agents. Like build for the agents. Like if you're a founder, figuring out what to do, thinking about payments, think about how agents would transact. If you think about recruiting, think about how agents would like go and find the right set of people for any founder or a company. If you're thinking about like, solving the deployment challenges for enterprises, think about how agents would solve it. So putting yourself in like an agent first, like AI first point of view, and building for the agents is kind of the biggest thing you could be doing right now, because again, step one is you understand the customers really well, but when the customers are the agents, I think it becomes a whole different game.
I think something that I'm super excited being in creative is world models, like being able to control generative 3D worlds on the fly. That's super exciting, and that opens up so much more creativity that I don't think we can even any of us can imagine today. So super excited by that.
I think if you guys want to note it down, but this is going to be really important. Next month, you will start hearing about, it's going to be recursive, self-improving agents. This is happening. You're going to see it and how they're going to transform everything around you in terms of automation. If you're not ready, it's going to be like 100 kilometers per hour bus going to hit you. So keep noting down, keep searching, whatever you can find, learn, implement, be familiar with this thing.
Yeah, I think to add to that, like, it's a very good segue to like, how you should calibrate AI progress. I think there's like two axes that, I really like to look at AI progress. One is a time horizon, right? So who's seen kind of the METR curve of, AI doing increasingly, challenging tasks and doubling amount of time like every 7 months or so. I think the time horizon of where agents can do tasks successfully, at least at 50% or more, is one axis, and two is things that are verifiable versus non-verifiable. To Prateek's point, I think thinking about where AI is doing things that are not really verifiable, things like creative writing or like taste or direction or something like that, versus things that are very verifiable like math and code, etc. So I think, again, I think the compute will shift more towards things that are non-verifiable because, again, that's really important. For humans, and again, that's something where humans have an edge, and again, that's where like things like compliance and legal and all that really come in. So just to add to that, I think that's like two axes where I look at like progress and kind of just getting up for that. What's next?
Such great points. I probably had one more question for all of us, but in the interest of time, we'll maybe open up the floor for some audience questions. Happy to. Okay. We can start with you, ma'am.
Hi, my name is Vidushi. Shaman, I had a question with you. You said that planning is very important, right? Like before doing anything. But for young entrepreneurs like us, we are often told that don't plan, just do it, just don't think about it, just do it, just get in the zone, just get in the battlefield and take the war. So thoughts on that? Like planning is important or doing is important. How do we balance that?
Yeah, I think it really depends on what stage you are at. Like if you're just getting out of college or thinking about what to do next, unless you're like really sure that, hey, I want to go solve like this post-AGI problem, I want to go solve AGI. Like if you're very clear and if you have super clarity, then fine, just go do things. If you're a bit unclear and if you're like super early in kind of your stage of thinking, then planning is super important because that also, if you have a co-founder potentially, if you're looking to work with them, I think that process gives you a chance to actually understand what your team really wants and how they're thinking through things. And then you can just go kind of do execute. So I think it really depends on the stage at where you are, yeah.
Okay, great, thanks. Just a follow-up question. Any tips for that? Any tips for planning?
I think one best thing is like, I think writing is very important, right? I've seen a lot of builders and founders spend a lot of time writing. It brings you a very insane amount of clarity into your thoughts. So even Greg Brockman, right? If you heard one of his podcasts, he said that he keeps like a journal of thoughts, almost like his chain of thought that he keeps like writing in a journal about decisions. And I think that just gives you an insane amount of clarity. And so writing is, again, like a great tool for planning.
We can start with somebody at the back. The gentleman in the green shirt, maybe.
Hello, myself Satyam Swarnkar, and I am from Newton School of Technology, Rishod University, and I am in my sophomore year. At the current moment of time, I don't know whether I should pursue research or do मतलब मैं अपने आप को रिसर्च की तरफ में लेके जाऊँ या जनरेटिव एआई की तरफ लेके जाऊँ या एजेंटिक एआई की तरफ लेके जाऊँ. आई डोंट नो वेदर आई शुड research wala field. I am not yet sure. So how do I navigate my path also, since Indian mentality ये है कि मैं currently middle class से belong करता हूँ, तो I think of it as कि मेरे पास एक foundational backup रहना चाहिए, backup plan रहना चाहिए. I can't go all in on research as of currently, but how should I navigate through it?
Samiti, you want to take that?
So I think it's very interesting what he said, ki planning, right? So I think early in your career, I think it is important that you explore more things. At least that's how I looked at my early career. I spent like 4-5 years just figuring out like what interests me, what engages me, what seems to be fun, what seems to people value, all of it. So, and like, I tried to jump into entrepreneurship early in my career. Most of them did not work out. So like, I think it's your journey. You should explore everything, keep an open mind for everything. So don't like the question that I have to choose one is itself a fallacy. You don't just explore everything right now.
See, first of all, you have to stop this excuse of middle class. Like I grew up in poor farming family. Second, research you can do in generative AI, research you can do in applied AI, research you can do in anything. So research and AIs are not different thing basically. You can do anywhere, right? So it's about your passion, like what do you care about? Are you willing to spend time, hours, like nights, and then stick to it? That's what matters basically, right? So first of all, like you have tools, ChatGPT, free versions, everything. Talk to it, research, go back and forth, put your thoughts inside. learn from it. You have tools already available. See the differences and ask it. The same question, if you ask, it will give you the same answer. Say like, hey, research you can do in AI, generative AI, applied AI. So what I would say, you have free tools, use it as much as possible. AI is probably 80%, 90% to the professors that you have in your universities. They will answer. They are PhD level, most of the models are. And they will give you all like, multi domain answers, not just like a one person answering from like, I will answer from AI and agriculture, but AI can answer from everything, right? So use those tools and then decide and then have patience about what you're doing. Then you can follow. This question is basically about, you asking yourself, not us, because your commitment will define your path where you're going.
I think we are out of time for the question. Thank you so much, guys.
I would request our panelists to collect our mementos from AI Summit.